Hi, this is Mia, and it's Tuesday morning. I used to get paid by Medicaid on Tuesdays, but I haven't gotten any payments. I don't know what happened to my billing. I'm wanting to make the topic of this video actually, I had two topics come to mind. It's not just healing yourself within, but finding strength in yourself within. This cricket is bothering me. Finding strength in yourself from within. So I had the vision go across my mind of, my ankle is still bothering me, of being on a remote island or deserted island. I guess I always think deserted island isn't really deserted unless it once was not deserted. Like, that's just my opinion. Going into the world, I want to say as an adult, just how this to be general for my illustration. There's a Lori Wick book, and I'm sorry I don't remember the name of it. I don't like these stories too much, but I liked them because they helped me a lot get to where I am with this piece of God, guidance from God, safety, and love. And you could probably find the book by searching. There's a kind of geeky woman who lives alone, and she is a, spoiler by the way, she is a private detective in like the 1800s, somewhere in the West. I don't know, maybe not the West, but a lot of her Lori Wick's books are in sort of like Christian love stories. A lot of them are in like Montana or different places. 1800s, usually white people. I shouldn't say usually. All the ones I read were like white people. They didn't even have like native people or blacks or Asians in the story. And it's like, hello, in the 1800s, there was all types of people in the United States. That people get so blinded by their own surroundings, whatever, their own non-integrated neighborhoods and upbringings. But it's an author, and author's an artist, and the artist has the right to depict their vision. Just a note, when I get to the end of my Lori Wick books, I would be like, no, I don't want it to end. It's like the last few pages I would read so slow. In the first few chapters, I'd read so slow just because I wasn't like into them. Like, you know how the book's getting started and it's naming all these characters, and it's like you feel like you need a spreadsheet to like type and make charts of who's who. There was always this really light eyes, light hair, a lot of redheads, coffee drinking white girls in her story that were the main characters. And it's like watching these women dressed in their dresses and petticoats or whatever, and going on and doing their thing. They came from a wealthy family and all this like privileged stuff. And the author, since she is a good author, like for me, one of my children don't like her writing style, but it's like it sucks you in. You feel like you're that character. So for me, as a black woman, when I put the book down or finish the book, it's like I feel like if you were a white woman, particularly thin and petite, you would have, particularly in young, and a lot of us, whatever skin color, don't fit that category. I feel like you would have a way to kind of make yourself feel like, hey, I can be like this. Hey, I can be a pillar in my community. Hey, I can have a loving family. Hey, I can meet my, knight, on a horse, my knight in shining armor is my spouse, who is a property owner from a good family with a good education. You know what I'm saying? Like, but going back out of that fantasy of the imagination, because it's, words, and then snapping back to reality, it's like there's like this high and this low, because again, being the same as when I watch certain movies, you see the main character and you're like, I can never be this person. Like, anyone could change their hair color, put contacts in, get their weight changed, and even do surgery to do plastic, to do facelifts and stuff. But not all of us are able to, even when I keep my brown skin, it's going out and seeing who everybody's staring at outside. And I think that's hard. I wanted so bad to write some stories from myself as a visionary and artist, and make it integrative, like a reflection of the world, of the country, of the land, of time period. Like, if I wrote something about the 1600s, like in the east coast of the U.S., there'd still be Native Americans somewhere. There'd still be Europeans. There'd still be Africans. There'd still be Asian Americans. There'd still be Latinos. There'd still be religious people like Quakers and other people fleeing. And it's hard to think of Quakers fleeing, and I got on a tangent. You think of Quakers fleeing the Queen of England to prevent themselves and their family from being killed. They're literally fleeing for their lives. And imagining the black Africans being brought here to be slaves and have their children be enslaved people, and have their children and children's children be enslaved and raped and violence, and my eyes just well up. And having those families not only being kept in bondage, being ripped apart, and then your child is ripped away from you, and your husband and everyone is separated, and you're got lashes on your back, and you're stuck in the ground for 24 hours as a punishment for nothing, because nothing you did as a slave deserved any type of punishment, because someone brought you there, and the people who did that should have had all the punishments. And then to pay for freedom, and people talk about, oh, our relatives were Irish, they were indentured servants. But it's like, that's a trick, like getting credit cards or getting student loans. You get tricked into this thing. But it's a nightmare. I don't think you get really beaten and chained and shackled and have your kids ripped from you, despite the circumstances having their own issues. So back to the Lori Wake book, there's one about this geeky lady who was investigator, or I said private investigator. What is it when they dress up as a different character? So she dressed like men and tried to infiltrate some place to try to get some clues or whatever. And I think she got hurt. She fell and hit her head or something. But I don't know. There was some guy that came on a horse to come visit her. I don't know if he visited her and found her sick, or. But she would live by the lake by herself, and she wore glasses, and she had I feel like she must have had horses. Again, this is fiction. She would go on her jobs, and one of her neighbors would come check on her house and stuff. And all I know is I remember is kind of creepy. The male lover character who came along later, I think, had witnessed her going out in the middle of the night to take a bath in the lake or pond behind her house. And I just remember that story, because I'm like, what do you do if you have a pond? You would take a bath in the middle of the night. You would, creepy eyes looking at you. But I don't know. I'd be scared of like leeches or whatever. But then again, it's fiction. It's like people got water from wells and lakes, and they could heat it up and they could take it like bath. In this story, I see the lady as kind of a loner, but she's not a loner. She can go to town. She has a job. She gets paid. She gets paid pretty well. I think she's like tall and geeky looking. And of course, you imagine these young white women, tall and slender and petite, with their long hair up in buns and, well educated and all this stuff. So you think about historical fiction and then what I imagine history, if you watched an old movie depicting that time period, even if it's not real or even if it's fiction, you get this feeling. So it wouldn't be like a desert island. It wouldn't be like you're remote alone. But I imagine this character, when I started talking today, of just being independent and being able to be self-sufficient and fend for yourself. You're not living off the land, but you imagine that time period potentially being even able to have a few blueberry bushes, even able to have maybe someone nearby keeps bees, like having animals, or your neighbor maybe having goats where you could get goat milk and goat cheese and make, dairy butter and all this stuff. Like, I just imagine this time where we could, again, not everyone would live like this. We could live in a house on some land near some water with another clean water source and be able to go out and sit down and watch the sun come up and watch the dew melt off of our plants, that we can have sunflowers, plants, and dandelions, and lavender, and wild daisies, and wild blackberries, and not get eviction notices on your door when you're indeed harvesting all this stuff from your yard and drying it and putting it in storage in jars for the winter time. And that's what's so hard. And what can we do, whether we live like one of those movies, what was that one, Castaway or something, where they're living on an island by themselves? What do you do when you're in a city of millions of people and you're alone? What do you do when you're hustling, bustling, going to work every day, stuffing and doing stuff with your kids and doing all the kids' activity, the sports, the parent meetings, of school plays, the parent-teacher conferences? What do you do when you're a part of a social organizations, churches and places of worship and 12-step meetings and historical society meetings, or women's political groups and crochet and knitting groups and all this stuff? What do you do when you have a lot of opposition, or a lot of just something doesn't sit well? That's what's been happening to me for the past 2 weeks, is having these people that were supposed to be either part of professional organizations or being able to help professionals and or business owners. And I think of that category. I imagine people say, oh, professionals, healthcare professionals or business owners, and you imagine someone slick and they're driving around in a Porsche and they've got the $3,000 suit on that's just been, taken out of the dry cleaner, pressed, and all shiny, and shoes all polished and everything's nice. There's no, even down to their underwear, there's no holes or anything. There's no fraying on the socks and no mess in their car. And then it's like, I watched Flipper, Rockstar Flipper. I remember seeing him bragging about his, he had this like guru status attitude, and he's, one of the times he went to Las Vegas, I think for eBay Open, and had, a group of people, or maybe he had his, I don't know. There's sometimes he had filmed some of his events. In reseller communities, and it was just, mainly it was white people. It was just like geeky people, like chubby people, pale people that look like they never get sunlight. It was like, people wearing t-shirts and sweatshirts, getting drunk and being loud and dancing and just plain old folk you'd see when you go out to Walmart and Marshalls. And um, it's like there's this like vibe like that they again should be like that polished driving around in Porsche. Some do. It's one of those things that you could think of doctor. Oh, who's an MD? Who's a doctor? Oh, it's a white man with graying hair and tortoiseshell glasses and a white coat with a stethoscope around his neck, and Doctor such and such from such and such hospital. Some Caucasian name, or European name, and if you people from India, you know what I'm saying? Like, and it's so weird, like. To be in a category of business person and doctor, and then having these professional organizations and people have more of the look and the sound, but behind, when no one else is looking, their behavior is so disgusting, at least towards me. So what do you do to build the strength in yourself to move on from that stuff and not feel tied down, not feel worried, but to just be like, dude, this is not working for me. Whether you're getting paid to do it, you're paying to do it, you get it for free, you got a grant, it's the SBA. I had a mentor that kept saying, why am I even helping you? I was like, well, it's good accountability. And she just disappeared. She just totally disappeared. And I was like, this sucks. Like, I thought that SBA was supposed to find mentors that were in the same field. This person was, they were lifelong, they're a retired employee of another agency that I don't think they had any interest in, and B, they were in the field of accounting, and I was like, we can have some fun here, and you can talk about accounting, like, because me talking to these people that have no idea what it's like to be a sole provider doctor. It doesn't matter if I'm a sole provider or if I own a hospital or if I own a multi-state, clinic that's on every corner in every city and small town across the USA. We still have to follow the same rules. We still have to follow the same, at least for the rules for that type of institution and the providers under that institution and the type of equipment and stuff you have. According to the national rules, HIPAA, if you take or do things with insurance, PHI, personal health information, OSHA standards as far as safety and what you have and things, making sure that things aren't expired, making sure that you have the OSHA cleaning products and all the safety goggles and gloves, for the cleaning. We got this Cavi wipes and stuff that will feels like it eats the skin off your hands and all this. The second part of the story. So yeah, it would be the same for a traveling clinic, and people say, "Is that home health? Are you a nurse? What's your job?" I'm trying to get a Habitat for Humanity. They said my income needs to be better. Income needs to be better. Bull crap! You guys did not read my packet to see my income. And you want me to have W-2s turned in by February 1st. I got one W-2 yesterday from a job, but I'm not going to get W-2s for myself. It's going to be my clinic. I'm not going to get W-2s for myself because I'm not an S-Corp, a salary corporation. I'm doing my taxes as a sole proprietor, sole member, LLC, 1040 Schedule C. Okay? 1040 Schedule C. I may or may not get the 1099s. I told them I might not get 1099s. You wanted me to turn in the paperwork by December 1st to see if I qualify. Then you're saying it's not good enough. Then you're saying I need to turn in tax stuff from last year, 2021. I'm not doing my taxes till April because I will still wait to see what 1099s I'll get from notary work, from insurance companies. I've got a stack of insurance in my file, checks. And these checks are from different insurance companies from different states. So there's customers all the way from Alaska to, I don't think I got any from Hawaii, all the way to the East Coast, the Midwest. My insurance when I worked at Pizza Hut, I had briefly, was from Kansas City. My partner's just got on the back of it, Illinois. So it's like people could be in my state where I practice medicine, and I'm going to get bill or insurance claims from different companies. If I received 100 checks from 100 different companies and they're all $200, and it's under the $600 that the IRS wants you to have, I'm not going to get any 1099 miscellaneous income statements, because if I was under one umbrella and the same person with the same address and everything shipped it out, then you do 100 for $200 each, then you'll get that. I don't even know how to add $2,000. That's not even that much. I have income from investments, very small amounts of income and interest in investments. Dividends, very small amount of dividends, 2 cents here, 6 cents there. I had a bunch of surveys and other events like that I've done in 2022. I said, let's just make the taxes even more complicated for me, besides having multiple businesses, multiple W-2 jobs, changes tax status, deductible expenses. I missed out on a couple years ago of the paying the. I just didn't see the tax program I used messed up, or it didn't explain that I could itemize my donations. That ticked me off, because when I did my daughter's, it popped right up about you can itemize your deductions this year. You don't have to have it itemized versus standard deduction. You could still do a standard deduction with writing off your charities donations, and I was really stoked when I missed out on my own. And that, I hate these tax programs, because you're not looking at the straight questions and the straight facts and the straight publications at the time. And if something needs to be changed, and it's hard to go back and change it, because then it's like it gets stuck in a rut, and I'm really disappointed. I'm going to have to do all my taxes, I guess, on paper this year's. What I'm thinking, I don't like that idea, because I kind of liked having the record of the taxes. But yeah, somebody's going to do something in 2022 and say that I need the tax information for 2021 and then verify my current income. I don't have a problem with that. But if you're going to take my application that was due in 2022, when nobody's done their taxes yet, I don't even think they accept the taxes until like January 1st, why are you going to tell me now that I'm getting penalized because I didn't get you the stuff by February 1st? Okay, so what kind of strength do I have within? It's taking time and energy away from me. I am expecting that these people will not like my income. Just like the banks kind of blew it off. They didn't even find any fault. If you have the same jobs for 2 to 3 years and you're making steady income enough to buy a trailer in a trailer park that's people own their own land, then that was what I told you guys, $300 or $400 a month for the mortgage. The interest on that for 30 years, I think, was $2,000. I might have done the math wrong. That's what happens with student loan. I might have done the math wrong, but I swore it was like $2,000. So it was it like $90 a year interest? That does not sound right. I don't feel like they're that friendly. But I thought that what I saw was what I just said, and I said that's another good reason to pay stuff early. Don't wait. I mean, that it's $300 a month for 30 years. I feel like you could pay $1,000 a month for 10 years. $1,000 a month for 8.5 years. And I paid a little bit more on my car loan when I got the car. My dad promised to pay it, and I signed the car loan, and he reneged on that thing so fast. When the first payment was due, he's like, oh, and I had signed on like almost $30,000 car. I had zero money for it, and he totally was like, oh, just send me the loan number and I'll make the monthly payment. And then he goes, no, you should do it. He's like, well, you do it. And part of it's like, oh, you could build credit. I was like, I don't need to build credit. I already have a good credit. Like, but what do? Take the car back and have no car? Like, we didn't have a problem riding the bus here and there, but when you got 3 or 4 jobs and you got kids in school and kids that got to be somewhere at 6, and the bus only runs between 8 and wait, why does this say thank you? Haha. Alright. Alright, I gotta get going on my work. Okay, the second thing, so feeling that, talking to someone, if you're like me, you bother your partner. These people said mean things about me. These people, why don't you just be a notary? I was watching Griffin Notary, I was probably talking about. He was making 6 figures. He has this standard of living in a big house, driving nice cars, having the best equipment, dressed nice. His partner was able to build up a beauty salon, school, and a salon. And I feel like if I didn't have anything else, or if I was retired, like from the military, or retired from a different job, I feel like doing notary is a good gig if that's all you're doing. I did it because of the health field to fill in some of the gaps of services that weren't provided. It'd be like if I became a lactation consultant or something and was able to do more with birthing people without having to be on call, still being able to be a part of families' lives, working in and out of the hospital. So it's like, oh, you want to be a birth worker, but how can you use those skills in the jurisdiction where you're in, where you're not able to do births right now, or you're able to do assist, but no one's calling you to do assist, or you're able to do doula, but it's people don't want to pay. Like, even the people that pay didn't want to pay, and then you get frustrated because you're like, you're spending your money on all this other stuff, and you become a sucker when you see what other stuff they're spending their money on, but you're like, you know what, just let it go. So finding what you say to yourself, finding what you say to your loved ones, finding what you're obsessed about. Are you tossing and turning, waking up at night? Oh, I was supposed to go back to sleep. What do you do when you are in a situation where, if those things I just stated didn't happen, the toss and turn and grumble into somebody, but you just, like, I feel like this would be the real test as we become wiser. You're talking to someone and you get the sick sour, not like, this is lemonade, it tastes good, or candy. You get this sick sour feeling like something's not right here. Something's not right here. I don't know what it is. I got a bad vibe about this person. And you're not in any way judging them on their demographic, their age, the way they speak, their education level or lack of, their skin color, religion. It's like in your gut. It's like when someone walks by and a baby says, and the dog starts barking. There's like some vibe about somebody. And it might not even be that they're going to hurt you. It might be that they have some kind of dark energy. Or they could have some kind of intention that could be harmful to you without them touching you or your property. Thoughts, perversions. What is it when somebody's looking through your window when you're getting dressed and you think that someone sneaking in a neighbor's backyard while they're on vacation looking over the fence. You're thinking that, oh, there's no one over there, my blinds aren't that shut. There's a chance to see the northern lights, to keep the blinds open and low. Like, they're not touching you. It is still harming you, but it's like, what is their intention and motivation? And then any layers of that. It could be like you could have a certain look about you or a certain status, and someone could say, hey, I want to get this person to be my friend so I can bring them to my apartment and say, hey, I got a friend that's a black female doctor. Like, and you're just using somebody, like, you see, I have someone that I keep calling friend, and I'm not sure what to do, and they like to glean information about healthcare instead of, when they were my patient, they didn't pay me for the visits. They didn't pay me for the paperwork. I was trying to help them coordinate some stuff and fax some stuff and print a bunch of stuff off, send it to them like FedEx or something, this big packet, or USPS, whatever that stuff costs, like $10, and they barely paid for the shipping. I just, like, karma, I hope you pay me back for this work. I don't have it. I don't have the energy and the money. People think, oh, you're a doctor. I say, I'm not paying myself. But in my spiritual sense, when people will say, oh, well, these professionals, oh, you're not doing a good enough job. You need to quit this job. I haven't been doing enough jobs since the day I was born. I haven't been doing enough jobs since I got my license in 2015. I hadn't done enough of my job spending 2 to 3 years training for out-of-hospital and in-hospital births and not getting paid a penny. Running around all over multiple states, in and out of Oregon and Washington, in and out of Maryland and Delaware, Virginia. I wanted to try Pennsylvania. I was about to camp out somewhere and go to births to get this last 3 births. Knowing people that are in my community that I want to attend their birth, can I sit in the corner, stand outside the door, and have your doctor sign off on my paperwork? These people just ignore me. Is that for your doula thing? You guys always, oh, doulas are great. Is that for your doula thing? No, I'm actually a midwife, a naturopathic midwife, which used to be called an naturopathic obstetrics doctor or physician. Somebody must have told us they don't like us using that term. Oh, there's no good mail coming. Dang it. I ordered a bunch of stuff from the USPS. I gotta go. I spent a lot of money too. I gotta go look out, make sure it didn't get delivered outside. So I ran out of time I wanted to do defining the strength of within, finding the strength of your life. It's like not even like a candle. It's almost like a candle that never runs. My mom had a candle that never ran down. It was a huge red on the outside, like grooves in it, like, I don't know how to say it, with the white on the inside. And she would burn all this little, maybe she just kept the wick super short. She had this every time. I lived in that house for 15 years. Every time the lights went out in northern Michigan, she would light this candle in her bedroom and keep it on the top of the shelf. And every time I felt like I didn't see the wax disappearing. But it was it was like this big, by this wide. What happens when you don't necessarily die if your flame gets snuffed out. But what happens if you're that candle and you have all this, what is it, the potential energy? What is like oil or fat? There's kinetic energy that's like, was that when you're on the top of the hill and you have the kinetic energy that you can roll down and have a lot of run down or whatever. So yeah, there's 2 types of energy, more than one type of energy, chi energy and all this different stuff. You end up with your these people, like the 3 bears, or not the 3 bears, the wolf, what is it, the wolf and the 3 pigs? It's like, something's like just keeps blowing at your candle, and you're burning, and you're bright, and you're light, and you're warm, and you're good and you're doing your own thing because you are an individual. You can't be more than an individual. If you're conjoined twins, that's a whole nother category, but you're still who you are while you're conjoined, and until if somebody unconjoins you. And it's like you go around these people, and it's like me having these housing programs and this homelessness. You know, every time your light gets snuffed out, that it's not just a matter of a match or a lighter to relight you. Everything gets cold. The wax starts, there used to be a puddle of kind of fluid, literal fluid. You have that black and that red part of the wick. You had that heat. When you get snuffed out, you turn into the smoke and vapor. Again, everything hardens. And to get back to the state you were, even if you were able to light a lighter and light it back, and it might not even work. The wet wick might have sloshed around because they blew so hard and caused the wet wick to get covered in wax, and then it's or soot or something that's making it not light. But it's like, to get back to where you were, you could have been like that for months, just perfect, like a perfect. I'm thinking of like pumpkin and some flaxseed muffins. I don't know why. Doesn't that sound good with butter? Like, and maybe put a little fruit inside, like blueberry flax. Blueberry flax, pumpkin. I'm about to cut up a pumpkin and get some frozen blueberries. So I'm gonna do raw vegan. So I'll make some little balls or something. That sounds so good. My mouth's watering. And you could be in any state of, oh my gosh, because of the economy. Somebody stole my lighters and matches, and I don't have another fire maker, and every store is sold out, and no one has a cigarette lighter in a car, and now you're snuffed out because you were around somebody, and it's not your fault. The whole victim blaming word. It's not your fault that they snuffed you out. As soon as you got into conversation with them, you turn around and you said enough's enough. As soon as you realize this is not working, and they basically stabbed you in the back. And you're like, no! And then you had to pick yourself up and build yourself up. And you can still exist. Mentally, physically, spiritually, holistically. You can still exist. And you can still survive. But are you thriving? And even, again, under the best circumstances, you got a long stick match, somebody's able to just light it right back up, still warm to touch. You know how the candle gets that like kind of bubbly kind of feeling. Makes you want to do one of those wax gloves. And then you're just like, whew, oh my god, you know what I mean? You're like, and if you're around 6 of these people a week or a month, and it's like they're patting themselves on the back, either A, because they're purposely abusive, they have inferiority complex where they feel like they don't want to treat you with any respect because of who you are as a person. And I'm not trying to say that they have to think that you're better than them, but they can't. If they don't have the amount of education, they're going to put you down and make you feel bad about yourself because they're feeling bad about themselves. Nobody said you needed an education to be a good person. You don't need to attach that to yourself. Nobody said that being $500,000 in debt with my education is the route to go for everybody, because that's a nightmare. And I'm thinking of real life examples. A lot of them were African Americans looking at me. I tried to use that term with my boyfriend. It's like, what, they think I'm uppity or something? They don't like the way I speak. They don't like my natural black hair. They don't like the way I dress. Because I'll be wearing white people's clothes, walking around with khakis. Even my boyfriend, one time, I was wearing khakis to the Quaker meeting. And he goes, what? You wear clothes like we wear? And I knew what he meant. But I'm like, you mean I wear clothing like other human beings? When we shop at the same store, Kohl's? Gloria Vanderbilt. Most of the time, the the length of Gloria Vanderbilt pants are the right length. I don't know. I've been getting some weird sizes lately, but. And these black ones I think I had to replace my other black ones. Anyways, peace, guys. Somebody complained that my nightgown that I sold that was silk was funky. It smelled like it had been worn with the sweat for 10 days. It's stuffed in a bag in an uncirculated room. And I was like, does our apartment smell like that? Because we don't have a washer dryer. And that was on my last video. This next video is going to be on. So I've been feeling bad about that. I want to tell you, though, I know some white people. And they heard from their mother, there was like some Middle Eastern people or Indian people or something that they were exposed to in the neighborhood. And the mother of this person, I'm thinking, when they were kids, said, wow, those people have a really bad odor. And what I think is people that are in like these white suburbs, white people, when I go in different neighborhoods, there's different spices. Like being around Somali and being around Middle Eastern, there was a different spice. I didn't really like the smell. I can smell it coming out of the vents. But then the people I see of different cultures that have different food, in my opinion, had different scents. And I think it's like if you were eating all lavender tea all day, every day, and lavender cookies and lavender oil, would you eventually start, like lavender toothpaste, lavender? I feel like you start smelling lavender. If someone doesn't like lavender and not used to it, they're like, oh my God, there's a funky smell. Or you had a bad experience. If you think of this person, they complained to me and said that every single thing that I wore smelled strongly of rodent urine because of my pets. And I said I would take my clothes, wash and dry them, use BioClean and baking soda and borax and what is that, White King detergent, non-chlorinated bleach, all mixed into one wash, put in the dryer with the natural dryer sheets. They don't really make it smell, but the sheets themselves smell good. Excuse me. And then I'd hang him up upstairs in the closet. This person, whose mom said that this other family stank really bad, was also telling me how much I stink and it couldn't stand it, and that I better be careful because I'm trying to be out in public with that kind of odor. And I told my kids to go and round to their peers and ask them to smell their clothes. And it was really, I mean, you can go in someone's house and smell a hamster cage and you'll be like, oh, I smell the hamster cage. But I usually don't smell it on the people when I see them in their cars out in the parking lot or somewhere. I don't smell it on the people. And I feel like this person could be very valid. They're like, it must be going through your HVAC system and just infiltrating your entire house. So I got really paranoid. This person, if I went to their house, was always had a washcloth and towel ready for me to take a shower as soon as I got there. Like, it's like, and we had some comments from our advisors in Michigan State about certain ethnic groups that were our teaching assistants, like, oh, these people have a different smell, and in their culture, some of them don't use deodorant, and just be okay with that scent, but it's like body odor scent, human, and if we have our own scent, we can get used to it. When we have, for me, I do a lot of detoxing. I'm eating nutritional yeast. I'm doing these foods that have this kind of meaty, yeasty smell. And when I was eating meat and potatoes, I had a different scent. When I detoxed from meat and potatoes and started using natural deodorants, people were complaining to me about that. And it wasn't really a bad scent until I had my period. And it wasn't that I wasn't changing my pads. It's like everything in my chemistry changed, in my hormones and my pheromones. So what I think is we grow up and we mask with Tide, Cheer, different things with perfume and laundry sheets and Febreze, and we mask all this. So when you smell somebody who just took a shower and you tell them how much they stink, in my opinion, I feel like depending on how strong their body is, like as in healthy, their pheromones can be smelled like animals can sense and smell for miles around. And I feel like you hear me, I'm always nasally. we have all these human things that are making us congested and inflamed. And if we were in a wilder state, I feel like we would potentially be able to mate with a matching pheromonal partner from miles away. We would, the fantasy, like, oh, I'm going to meet someone while I'm checking the mail when I was single. Or, that person could have mysteriously walked or traveled to my neighborhood and had my, and I think what happens is there's so much jealousy and so much competition that natural pheromone scent, if it's not masked or blocked, if you're blocking your perspiration with aluminum-based products, or if you're spraying yourself with a perfume that's like, ooh, it's got a pleasant smell. It smells like Teen Spirit, Axe deodorant, like those type of artificial scents that could literally have urea or different types of urine products or other animals' pheromones or lab-created pheromones and perfumes and stuff. And people realize that they're used to that clean smell, that fresh smell, that, oh, you got it together, and you have that. Even makeup and lipstick and lip balm has an odor. It has perfume and stuff in them. And it gives somebody that put together smell. It's artificial. I mean, even if they douse themselves in lavender oil, you're talking about lavender, I better deal with that. And so that's what makes me mad, is if you get out of the shower, wash your hair with some coconut natural shampoo, and you do put on a deodorant, or maybe you use arrowroot powder with some essential oils, with some baking soda, or whatever, clay, and your balance of your genitals are balanced, pH is balanced, sorry. Your feet aren't sweaty and stinky, you're aired out, you wash your clothes naturally with soap nuts and hung them out in the backyard for the sun to clean them out, and they just smell like, they have that cotton scent that people like they have that outdoors fresh UV light on them. It doesn't smell like perfume. So people, I think they mix that up with stink and filth, that natural smell, because they're so used to artificial. Even in the health food store world, that stuff's still chemicals. A lot of stuff is still artificial perfumes and other additives that have that quality. So that's what I'm trying to say. What do you do when you feel like within that you rather not risk increasing your risk of chronic disease and inflammation states and burdening your liver, when you avoid products that make people feel civilized, and other people that are less civilized than you are complaining that you're not as civilized as them, but you use your civilized mind to help, to bring peace to the world, to help round up like-minded folks, to help with keeping the environment, whatever you can do as a small person, the karmic wheel of life and the environment and the earth, and you're doing what you can in your profession to be fair and to surround your loved ones, your family, with natural products, and even using solar when you can use solar, even if you're inside of a crowded apartment or in an apartment with no yard that you can't even put a solar. People on off-grid cabin, you can have 0.2 acre, you can have 0.02 acre, a small patio in your backyard, and at least put up a solar panel. I mean, you don't want stuff getting stolen, but you could at least, you have no yard, you have no spot for that, unless you tack it to the top of your car. But if you're like us, your car is parked at least a block away, so you want to be able to monitor. I'm going to do the second video on raw food prepping. Bye.